Plants. What is the deal with them? They sit silently in our rooms, toilets, gardens, cracks, markets, parks, offices, shelves. They're literally everywhere. And yet, most of our spaces treat these organisms like props, decoration. So, could we build a device that lets us communicate with them or make plants talk in a way? Could we figure out how to listen to our relationship with them and start treating them as cohabitants instead of just simple decoration? Let's figure it out. Let me introduce you to Sully. It is a monstera, a good one, like Sullivan from the Monsters Inc. We have lived together for a while now. Sully doesn't pay rent, but I let it slide. Just like many people do with their plants, we do a lot of things together. We drink water, talk, go for walks, go out for a coffee, play catch, watch movies, and we meditate together. Though, to be fair, plants are very good at meditating. And this made me wonder, what if our plants aren't just decoration? What if they're just cohabitants? Could we actually listen to that symbiotic relationship we have? So I started with the leaf and questioned, what changes when I touch this? We engage with our plants through touch, smell, and sight. And I wanted something that could sense the presence of that interaction without harming Sully, of course. I didn't want to give Sully a voice, so that felt very artificial, a little bit too human. I want to make this space where our interaction could be felt with our senses, with our hearing. After some intense Googling, I came across a Disney research project from 2012 called Botanicas Interactives, which turned artificial plants into musical interfaces.
A simple electrode placed in the soil turns any plant into an expressive, multi-touch, gesture-sensitive controller.
That was interesting. I think I have all the information I need. It is time for experimentation. Time to get the notebook and figure out how will this work. Basically, when you touch a conductive surface like our copper anode connected to a microcontroller, your body adds capacitance to the circuit. This changes the voltage or timing of the signal on the pin, and it can be detected and then converted into sound. Simple components, but when they came together, it just felt like magic. Okay, well, not real magic, just basically electronic potential, which is then translated into data, then mapped into sound. Is pretty straightforward to science. Whenever you don't understand something, just call it science. It's just science. So I experimented with a copper anode, a microcontroller, and a speaker. I assembled a basic proof of concept. I attached the copper plate to the soil to increase the chances of capturing the voltage change. I grabbed the microcontroller, the speaker, the amplifier, attached it all together into the board, and then I connected it to the plant. And when I touched the plant, nothing happened. I tried a few times and still nothing. Every time I hit these blocks in a project, I know it is time to go for a walk. Organize thoughts, get away from the problem. And what a better way than to do it around plants, trees, and the forest. Maybe I'll communicate with them and they will give me the answer. Yeah, one of the things that I like to do when I get into these mental blocks is just go for a walk, expose myself to nature as much as I can, or maybe even go to the farm. So check this out. I think there is something special when you expose yourself to new sensory inputs, new smells, definitely new smells here, new things to see, new sounds. It sort of resets your creative will, and at least that's what works for me. And that's what I try to do every time I get into these blocks, and usually things just work out. Let's see if it happens this time. Yeah, went to bed last night at like 1 a.m. and just trying to make this work. It didn't. So let's see what happens. If it doesn't work, then I'll make a video and tell you at the end that it didn't work. Let's see. So I get back, open up the computer and start tweaking the code. It took some time until the moment I got the right number. I touched the plant and a sound came through. Even though I know the science behind it, the moment you hear the leaf respond to your presence, to the interaction between you two, you stop treating it like background. Side note, while working on this, I reflected. I came across a meme, and like all good memes, there is some truth to it. What if plants are actually farming us? Think about it. They give us oxygen daily, and when we eventually decompose, they can consume us. Well, that's a problem for a future Luigi. Right now, the device has only one sound, and I started thinking, what if we could vary the sound depending on the type of touch that I give to the plant? So can we convey the emotional experience of the interaction? Can we translate a soft touch into a calming sound or a rough touch into an alarming sound? Sort of like a BB-8 dialect for plants. So to do this, I basically mapped out a range of voltages to a range of sounds and putting them together at random. And I think randomness is such an interesting thing. It makes each touch unique. So randomness, used wisely, equals greatness. Again, it takes a few rounds of tweaking, but when I touch it, you hear a soft touch, a hard touch, and everything in between. We design around plants like they're furniture, but they grow, they move, they breathe. What if we treated them as partners? Design becomes more about a conversation, not how do I decorate, but how do we live well together? I'm thinking of publishing the instructions for this project, so if that's something you would like to try or give it a remix, please let me know in the comments so I know where to dedicate my energies. Maybe in the future I'll 3D print a case for it as well. It's a problem for a future video. My takeaway is that even though plants don't talk, I feel like they have been listening all along. Maybe the future of design is not about controlling our environment, but collaborating with it. This isn't a smart device. It's a listening device. And for me, not for the plant. And when I touch Sully and hear the sound of our interaction, it is not the plant talking, it is our relationship speaking to me. I learned that this project wasn't about plants learning to speak. It's actually about us learning how to listen to systems that we normally ignore, to things we assume are silent. Because I think sometimes in the end, maybe we are just the interface.